Hello and welcome to our guide for the Sha of Pride, the fourth boss in the Siege of Orgrimmar. All players have a pride resource during this fight. Players start out with 0 pride, but many abilities in the fight cause pride if unavoided, and some are unavoidable. Every 60 seconds, the Sha of Pride casts a spell called Swelling Pride, which deals raid-wide damage and grants all players 5 pride. Additionally, each time Swelling Pride is cast, it causes a special effect for each raid member who has 25 or more pride, depending on how much pride they have. Players who have between 25 and 49 pride have a void zone called Bursting Pride created at their location, which then deals damage in a 5-yard radius a few seconds later. Players who have between 50 and 74 pride have a void zone called Projection created at a location near them, which explodes 6 seconds later, dealing raid-wide damage unless the respective player stands in their void zone. Each player's specific void zone is indicated to that player with a green arrow. Players who have between 75 and 99 pride gain a debuff called Aura of Pride, which lasts for 25 seconds and causes these players to deal very high damage to all nearby raid members every second. Players who have 100 pride become permanently mind-controlled when Swelling Pride is cast. The damage caused by all these Swelling Pride effects also generates 5 pride. Before we talk about the rest of the boss's abilities and about the strategy, there are a few more things about pride that are worth noting. Everyone's pride is reset when the boss reaches 30% health, but beyond that there is no way to reduce your pride. Players who reach 100 pride immediately become overcome, gaining a 50% increase in damage and healing, but as we said, as soon as Swelling Pride is cast, these players become mind-controlled. Aside from this overcome effect, pride does nothing to players other than when Swelling Pride is cast. There is one more pride-related mechanic. Several random raid members are regularly buffed with Gift of the Titans, which lasts 20 seconds and grants these players immunity to pride gains. If all the players who have Gift of the Titans stack together in an 8-yard radius, then they all gain a second buff called Power of the Titans, which lasts 15 seconds and increases their haste and damage done by 15%. Now let's look at the Sha of Pride's abilities. In addition to Swelling Pride, the boss casts 4 other abilities and regularly summons 2 types of adds. Wounded Pride is a debuff that the Sha of Pride applies to its tank, causing them to gain 5 pride each time they receive a melee attack from the boss. Simply perform a tank switch every time this happens. Corrupted Prison is cast every 60 seconds. The boss imprisons 2 players in 10-man and 4 in 25-man in the Titan prisons you see located around the room. Players who are imprisoned are stunned and they take a lot of shadow damage every second. In addition to this, they also gain 5 pride every second. To free an imprisoned player, 2 other raid members in 10-man and 3 in 25-man must stand on the prison's locks, indicated by the glowing orange color. If any raid members stand on top of a prison when Corrupted Prison is cast, they are knocked back and they take damage and receive some pride. To deal with this ability, raid members will have to immediately go and stand on the locks to free the trapped players. Before Corrupted Prison is cast, no one should be standing on top of any of the prisons. Mark of Arrogance is a dispellable shadow damage dot with an unlimited duration that is cast on random raid members. Multiple stacks of this dot can be active on a player at the same time. Dispelling this dot causes the Dispeller to gain 5 pride, so it should only be dispelled by players who have the Gift of the Titans buff. When the Sha of Pride reaches 30% health, everyone's pride is reset to 0 and the boss becomes unleashed, dealing constant raid-wide damage and granting all players 5 pride every 10 seconds. This is a burn phase during which you should use Heroism or Bloodlust. In addition to these abilities, the boss summons 2 types of adds. 1 Manifestation of Pride in 10-man and 2 in 25-man spawn every 60 seconds. These adds cast Mocking Blast, an interruptible single-target nuke that causes the target to gain 5 pride, and Last Word, which causes the 2 raid members who are closest to the add when it dies to gain 5 pride. These adds need to be tanked, interrupted, and killed, and you should make sure that players who are low on pride soak Last Word each time. Throughout the fight, the Sha of Pride casts Self-Reflection on a number of random raid members, causing small adds called Reflections to spawn at their location. When the adds spawn, they deal damage and grant pride to any players in a 2-yard area, but fortunately there is a Void Zone animation that acts as a warning, which allows you to move away in time. Simply avoid the damage caused by these adds spawning and then kill them. As a general strategy, your raid should stack up behind the boss who is stationary. This helps get the most out of the power of the Titan's buff. Whenever self-reflection is cast, everyone will need to disperse quickly to avoid being damaged, but you can stack right back after that. At the start of the fight, when everyone's pride is low, there aren't many abilities to worry about, but after players start having over 25 pride, things become more complicated. For example, anyone with 25 to 49 pride will have to move out of the raid when swelling pride is coming up so as not to harm the raid with their void zones. Players who have between 50 and 74 pride will need to quickly move to their projection void zones and stand in them. Players who have 75 to 99 pride will have to stand out of the raid until their aura of pride expires. In short, the fight is all about stacking up as much as possible while always being prepared to spread out at a moment's notice. For a more detailed and constantly updated written version of this guide, go to the link in the description. Thank you for watching.